Alright, well it is time to work on my box trailer. Got a couple things on the inside. We're going to replace the tie downs in the floor. The ones that it came with, or the ones I had them add when I bought the trailer, just aren't as heavy duty as I'd like, so we're going to upgrade those. And then we're going to add power to this box trailer, a plug-in so that we can keep the battery tenders on the four-wheelers when they're stored inside of the trailer. So before he gets too far along, we've got some other stuff we have to take care of also. There's a backup camera we're going to throw on the back of this thing, which will allow me to use the monitor of the truck, which I think is more important because it makes it easier to maneuver this thing around and get it where it needs to go and back it up, be a little bit more safe. Also, I managed to rip off the jacks or the stabilizers that go on the back of this thing inadvertently, so we need to get those replaced also. So I realize you guys are working on some good plans here, but the reality is this roof leaks a lot. There's significant repair that needs to happen to the roof, so we're going to get that all fixed first before we do anything else, because if the roof leaks, an enclosed box trailer really doesn't do us any good. Well, one of the first things we're going to work on is installing a 110 power plug on the outside of the trailer that goes to the inside. This trailer is stored in a location right next to a 110 power pole, so I will be able to plug this in. Basically, this will be like a shore power connection, which will give me lights and power inside the trailer when it's stored. And now since I store my four-wheelers in here in the wintertime, and I have battery tenders on the four-wheelers, I'll be able to plug in the battery tenders. So I jumpered these across because I needed to have less connections in the box. And I know you guys love Wagos, but go watch some reviews on how they work. That's all I gotta say. way it goes are these style of wire nuts. And somebody's gonna jump on the bed. That's not a wire nut, that's a push connector. Well, whatever. It is what it is, and I use them and I love them. Connections that you just saw in there comes from the plug on the outside, which you saw me hook up, which is basically on the other side of this wall, out of the back of the box, inside the wall, and up the wall to what will be the lights. Well, there you go. So these are all motion sensors, so there's no light switch. When power gets turned on, they come on, and then they clearly shut off. And then you wave in front of them, and they come back on. Now that motion sensor can't sense me, but if I walk down there, it comes on. So that's working pretty well, pretty happy with that. All right, well, I'm moving on to the next item on my list for the trailer, and that is to get a backup camera installed. Now, I happen to be installing a Halo View backup camera. This is the CA108. Halo View reached out to me and gave me this camera and the monitor, and they wanted me to do an honest review. There's no contract, there's no anything. They just sent it to me in the mail, and when I get around to posting a video about it, I get around to posting a video about it, which will be shortly. So we're gonna get this Halo View CA108 installed on the back of the trailer. Directly behind this light, there's an open space on the inside of the camper. So I went and checked that, and I made sure that the wires will be able to plug into this light's wiring. But I've gone ahead and pulled this apart, and this is the wiring as it comes. We're going to drill this hole and push this wire through there. Punch first. There we go. So that hole saw went through there, no problem. Just want to make sure our gasket's going to seal nice into that hole, and it looks like it's just going to be perfect. Okay, so there's our gasket installed. We can push our wire back through there, which is going to allow us to mount our camera just about like that. So I've marked that, and we need to get this drilled out in order to get the screws in for the bracket. And those all get bolted directly to the camera once the camera is kind of in place. So we slide our camera back there, right about there. And our shroud comes over the top. lined up the bolt holes, and it comes with these little bolts. Focus. And they have this little Teflon washer. It provides some resistance, and those just thread in to the camera housing. I won't position this fully until I get my truck hooked up to the trailer and I can really look and see what I'm going to be able to see. This is the wire coming from the camera outside, and it has this plug on it, and that plug corresponds to this wiring harness or wiring adapter they sent. So just about like that. So that's the piece we need. So let's go get a ring lug put on here and get this all stripped back and ready to install. Ready to put a ring lug on there. Okay, so that will then we'll go tee into the wire with one of these blue guys, which I know you guys love, and this will slide in there, and that will connect our positive side. Now, the other side we need to put a ring lug on to receive a ground screw to the frame. So same thing, we'll slide our wire, itty bitty tiny little wire down inside of there, making sure we're thoroughly bottomed out. Crimp that securely. We'll use the heat gun. So there we go. We're going to go get those attached to the trailer. So one of the very first things we're going to do is get this ring lug attached. I pre-drilled that hole and drive it right into the metal framework of the trailer. There we go. Now with that in place, we need to get the other lead, which is this spade connector, teed into the black line in order to make our connection. There we go. So we've made our connection to the wiring, we've made our connection here. We won't test it until I pull the trailer out of here. So as you guys just saw, I started removing some of the existing tie downs. We're going to replace all those existing tie downs with a much more heavy duty style tie down. Okay. So if the trailer wasn't up on jacks right now, this would be contacting the ground before it went to full extension. And that allows you to stabilize the trailer when you're loading and unloading, specifically if it's not hooked up to a tow vehicle. So the only downside to those is what I did to them last time is I left them down thinking that I would remember to go put them up because I take things in and out here quite often without it being hooked up. And then I didn't. So they were down, I backed up and hooked up and I drove away because it was dark and I wasn't paying attention. And I basically destroyed them as I did that, which means I had to go plasma cut them out. And on this side specifically, I had to weld in a steel plate because it damaged a significant amount of the structure that it was originally welded to. But we've got them all replaced now and they're good to go. On to the next thing. That's the retainer washer. Pull the grease cap already and see how loose that is. That's a really good thing. We want that to be nice and loose, which we should be able to. There we go. And the bearing. Drum off. Get that down out of the way. And we're going to clean this with brake cleaner. We're going to just soak it until it just drips out the bottom nice and black. All there is to an inspection. I wasn't expecting to find anything wrong, but I wanted to make sure that while I had the trailer jacked up, I went ahead and inspected the brakes, made sure the magnet was still good. And I've got a couple 3, 4, 5,000 miles worth of life left in these, which in my case is probably 2 to 3 years worth of life left in these brakes. Drum actually put back up on here. Time to start fixing the roof. I have significant leaks throughout this entire roof. The sealant that was put on here was done really, really terribly. So I've gone ahead and decided to remove all of the sealant. This is the area we've cleaned. That process works pretty well. You warm it up, scrape it off with the scraper. And you can see down here what it looks like. So we're removing all of this stuff all the way around. Well, this is one of those things that stresses me out. It's one of those, I've never done it before, not sure how it's going to go, and the really only way to do it is just to do it, just to get started. But basically, I'm going to use parts cleaner and I'm going to clean the joint where I'm going to apply the sealant. And we're going to be using this it's lap sealant. It's 501 LSW. So 501 LSW. Definitely a good reason to clean it. And there we go. It's coming out. So we're going to goop it right into that seam. Well, I think it's going to work well, but I think it takes a lot. We finished up doing the sealant on the roof. It took 12 tubes to do 5 horizontal seams, lateral seams, and then 2 forward and aft long seams, so the sides. Which is quite a lot. This stuff's not cheap. About $100 or so in sealant. I'll have a link in the description to what I used. It self-leveled a lot more than I thought it would, but overall, it went really well. It's done. The roof is taken care of now, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. I've had these metal shelves in here for a really long time, and I've never actually put the plywood on them. Well, I'm all done. All the repairs and the upgrades are complete. So we took care of upgrading the D-rings in the floor. We also replaced the drop-down support jacks in the back. We added shore power. This roof was leaking significantly. There were many areas where the sealant had failed. So we removed all the old sealant and replaced all of that. I took care of the shelves. I finished those. Checked the brakes and re-greased all the bearings. So I made sure the brakes were in good working order, and they were. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got something out of this, maybe some ideas for what you would like to do to your trailer. These are things that I have found are massively beneficial for this type of trailer and how I use it. If you're using this for storage of four-wheelers or ATVs or anything like that, dirt bikes, I can definitely recommend these upgrades. But if you're using it for just transportation or using it to haul equipment or furniture around, some of these upgrades might not be necessary, but I gotta be honest, I think that most of them would be pretty awesome to have no matter what. Check out some of those links down in the description for the materials I used. Definitely hit that subscribe button, it always helps me out in the long run. And check out some of these other links I'll have, the garage series of videos, the house build, and probably my mother-in-law's house build up here. Until next time, thanks for watching.